am honored to have with me today spokesmen from the Iraqi security forces. Sitting with me are Brigadier General Yahya Razul, who is the spokesperson for Joint Operations Command. We have Brigadier General Hogard Hikmat, who is the spokesperson for the Peshmerga forces. And we have Brigadier General Sadman, spokesman for the Ministry of Interior. We also have in the audience 9 of their colleagues, spokespeople from the Prime Minister al-Abadi's office and other military and government organizations. You are all well aware that Prime Minister Abadi officially announced the liberation of Mosul earlier this week. We in the coalition want to echo Prime Minister Abadi's congratulations to the Iraqi security forces. This is a historic victory against a brutal and evil enemy. This victory deals a significant blow to ISIS towards ending their false statehood. Over the last 3 years, through Iraqi determination, ISIS has been on an increasingly rapid decline, losing Tikrit, Ramadi, Fallujah, and now Mosul. Iraqi security forces, on the other hand, have only improved and gotten stronger. They have proven with their battlefield successes that they know they are better, that they are a better fighting force, and they are better than the terrorists that they fight. Defeating Daesh throughout Iraq has been a true unity of effort underneath Prime Minister Abadi's direction. And just look at how the Iraqi security forces have fought. All elements of the Iraqi security forces achieved this victory together. Iraqi army, federal police, Peshmerga forces, local police, counterterrorism service, and popular and tribal mobilization forces. Overall, Iraqi security forces have cleared more than 30,000 square miles of territory that had once been held by ISIS, and nearly 2 million Iraqis formerly displaced have now returned to their homes. However, the defeat of ISIS in Mosul does not mark the end of this evil ideology and global threat. With the coalition's help, the ISF will keep the pressure on this enemy while they are on their heels and not give them a chance to rest. The coalition, with both military and through stabilization efforts, will continue to support Iraq in their efforts to defeat ISIS. The progress that has been made to date is because of our brave Iraqi partners who take the fight to ISIS every single day, and the strong coalition that supports and fights with them. And it is the professionalism and the dedication and competence of these men and women who have gone toe-to-toe with this terrorist group and have paved the way for ISIS's lasting defeat. And with that, I'll now turn it to General Razul for opening statement.
In the name of God, peace be upon you. I'm Brigadier General Yahya Rasul Abdullah, the spokesperson of the Joint Operations Command. And currently I'm present with my colleagues and brothers as a part of a delegation after the victory achieved by our heroes of the Iraqi forces and the defeat of ISIL, the terrorist organization. Quite frankly, when I talk about the battle to liberate Mosul, since most of the steps and phases of this battle, whether fighting at the East or the West Bank, and the victories we achieved, and also when it comes to the West Bank or the right bank, we achieved a number of victories at the when it comes to the military operations. I was looking at the plans and the planning and the professional work of our forces from the beginning. That planning went through phases, and at times we stop to have some consideration for certain circumstances or considering some of the changes based on the geography, the nature of the battle, and the enemy we're fighting, and according to what the military leaders are looking into and considering. But the long period taken by this battle is because of the reasons that we can explain as a Iraqi leadership with the guidance and directive of our Prime Minister, Dr. Haider al-Abadi, the commander of armed forces. Before the beginning of the military operation to liberate the city of Mosul, the purpose was to liberate the person, the human, before liberating the land itself. Therefore, we consider this a human victory before a victory of a location of a land. We liberated millions of people. We liberated them from terrorism, starvation, and the worst terrorist organization in the world known to humankind. And we did a great job by this victory. Our heroes, Iraqi forces in the Iraqi military and the counterterrorism services, and also the federal police forces. These are our heroes. In addition, the Peshmerga, these are other heroes, and also the popular mobilization forces. From the beginning, they were part of all our military operations to liberate the city of Mosul. This victory is a victory of a coalition that liberated large areas that was, quite frankly, the most difficult areas to liberate because of the nature of our enemy. We're not forgetting here the role of our friends in the international coalition. They supported us in so many different ways. First, they really helped us when it comes to sharing intelligence information and the aerial imagery that they shared with us, and the continuous aerial coverage they gave our forces on top of the equipping, training, and support that we received from our partners with the latest and the most modern weaponry that we needed, quite frankly, in this battle. However, let me emphasize that the main victory was the liberation of the old city of Mosul. That battle has a great significance. The old city of Mosul is composed of a number of areas and neighborhoods. Its geographical nature is a little bit different. It's an old and ancient city, very crowded with very narrow alleys that not two people can even pass it. We cannot use our armed vehicles to pass these streets. And also, we were banned from using heavy weaponry. Simply, we tried to target the enemy when it's located in an area that we can use our heavy weaponry. But they booby-trapped everything, the buildings, the small areas and alleyways, and also they used dummy traps. And they also used innocent civilians as human shields. They really used these techniques, especially after they apprehend women, children, and elderly as human shields, and try to hinder our progress so that we will face a major casualties among civilians and blame us for it. I wouldn't really take a lot of time, but the last battle was the battle to liberate the old city after we advanced to the southern area. But our heroes continued, liberated to Bab al-Tob, al-Sharkhana, and the market of Najaf and Sarkhana to the southern bank of the city, and they raised the Iraqi flag at those liberated areas. In the western area, we had the counterterrorism services, and in the northern area, we have the different parts, which have the Division 16, supported by the armed 9th Division. What was left is Al-Qula'at area that is closer to the counterterrorism services, and the area of Shahwan that was located closer to the northern axis, where the different divisions of the Iraqi army was located. This organization, when they realized that they are being defeated in the battle, they were, out of desperation, they used suicide men and women. The numbers killed as a result of this technique, most of them are from other nationalities, Arab nationalities and foreign nationalities. I would say 80% of them were from other nationalities, Arabic and foreigners, and composed from both genders, men and women. I was there at where the counterterrorism services were located, and quite frankly, to identify corpses, and we identified 6 women from other than non-Iraqi citizenry. And we have the documents. And they were wearing explosive belts, and they were attacking our forces. And within one day, there were 17 suiciders facing our forces. Other than that, they were trying to run to the Tigris River towards the eastern area. However, our forces were there, and they sieged this city very well, so that we'll avoid any escape of any of their forces and elements. This victory today, it's not a victory of Iraqi people. This is a victory for the whole world, a world that suffered from the acts of these terrorists everywhere. There were crimes, terrorist acts that have been committed by this organization. This victory that will lead us to continue liberating the other areas under their occupation. We still have a long way to go. We still have more military operations to conduct, and we have a long way to work. We have Talafar, Al-Mahalabiyya, Al-Ayadiyya. These are areas we need to work on it. Al-Hawija, south of Kirkuk. We have Ana, Al-Qa'im, Arauna. God willing, we'll continue our military operations. We defeated this state of so-called illusion, blasphemy, and today we have our city back as a result of our sons and daughters, the heroes of Iraq, and all those who stood by us. And I would like to thank them as part of the international coalition who are fighting all those terrorist organizations. And as I said, God willing, we are continuing our military operations to continue liberate the remaining occupied lands of Iraq. And we want to get rid of those barbaric elements from our homeland.
سەرکەوتنەکانی هێزی عێراقیەکان و هێزی پێشمەرگەی کوردستان
Okay. All right. First, we'll go Sadman first while they switch, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Yes, it is a historical days that we managed to achieve our victory with your help, with the help of our friends for the coalition forces and also the American friends. Yes, it is a historical days, and really I'm very proud about what we achieved, especially if we compare the situation in 2014 and what we are doing now. General Yahya Rasool, maybe he mentioned all the situation, and he give you a picture about what's going on. I want to emphasize on some points. One of it's we managed to make our policemen have the ability to do their job again, and we managed to build the bridge between police, Nineveh police and federal police, and our society, our people in Mosul, which was a very important issue, because if we go for the indication about what happened on the last time, especially in 2014, I think it was really the weak point there. So we managed, and today at morning, the police of Nineveh also managed to kill 3 of the Daeshian who are trying to annoy the others from West Bank to the East Bank, and they were monitoring them, and they managed to kill them. Also, maybe it is the first time that a police, which is the federal police, and it is a unique job for them, managed to fight and to score their job side by side with the army. And really, the federal police now, we are depending on them in so many axes, and they are doing their best. Maybe there is a question, what will we do after Daesh, especially in Nineveh? Ministry of Interior prepare everything. The Directorate of Nineveh Police and also the federal police will manage to, with the help of Nineveh people, to maintain the security inside in Mosul and also inside the other cities for Nineveh. We opened a 19th section in Nineveh and 34 police stations, and also other institute belong for Ministry of Interior. Now we have about 7,048 case which is raised by the Nineveh people, and we managed to tackle 4,033 of them, and still we are following up 3,145 of these cases. When we're talking about cases, and we are talking about policing, and when we are talking about judicial system, it means life in Nineveh. Now it is ordinary, and we are going forward for another steps is to help Nineveh government to rebuild Nineveh again. Thank you indeed.
I'd like to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. The success and winning battles of Iraqi forces in Mosul and other areas where just as my friends mentioned, I would like to say that I congratulate everyone. Everyone knows that the Peshmerga forces has been fighting ISIL, and we broke the myths about ISIS, and with the support of the coalition forces, we could also, as a partner in this coalition, international coalition, to be an effective force on the ground and help the Iraqi forces, especially in Mosul operation. And we know that Peshmerga forces in Kurdistan region has pushed back ISIL in many areas, and also the Peshmerga support activities for the Iraqi forces has been continuous since then, and until now these supports will continue within this international coalition. And with supporting the Iraqi forces, we hope that we could liberate the total Nineveh plain and Hawija and other areas from this terrorist group, and to get rid of them once for all and bring back Iraq to the before when they were around. Terrorism could be eradicated in the region, and of course we need, after eradication of these terrorist groups, to have plans to eradicate the ideology of Daesh in the region. This is a main objective of all the, should be main objective of the KRG and also the government of Iraq and other countries, neighboring countries, and our friends internationally. We would like to say that as the Peshmerga forces, we will continue in supporting and will remain an active member of the international community to rescue and to liberate other areas, whether Hawija or other places. We are ready, and of course, and we are looking forward to seeing that other areas, Hawija, Tal Afar, and the rest of the areas under control of ISIS could be liberated by the Iraqi forces in support of the Kurdish forces and other international forces. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the questions. Hold on one second, Lita, please. Okay, go ahead, Lita. Yes.
Hi, Lolita Baldor with the Associated Press. A question for the General. How do you respond to charges that the Iraqi forces had caused a lot of civilian casualties during the Mosul fight and other abuses there? And then for the other two, can you talk a little bit about what you'd like to see from the coalition and also from the Peshmerga forces as you move ahead to the fight for Tal Afar and along the Euphrates River Valley? And do you want any additional support in the stabilization of Mosul?
In the name of Allah, the battle, it was fierce with these terrorist organizations. However, there were some things to consider, that they used everything. They were using hundreds of booby-trapped vehicles, and they used it among civilians. Therefore, this organization was the main reason, and significantly, to cause casualties among civilians. They used booby-trapped vehicles among neighborhoods and also shooting people using hound and rockets towards civilian residences on top of the suiciders and landmines. Therefore, this terrorist organization was trying to cause the most civilian casualties, knowing very well that militarily they've lost the Battle of Mosul and they will be eliminated. Contrary to what's been done by all those participating to liberate the city, they were very considerate of citizens and made sure to save human lives, and they wanted genuinely to liberate people from this terrorist organization. Therefore, they transferred hundreds of thousands of people to safety. Therefore, we won morally before we achieved military victory. The sacrifice among the civilians and those sacrifices done by the elements of our forces are much more different. And this is, if you heard about civilian casualties, it's because of what the terrorists done to them, and quite frankly, because of tactics used in their fight. Regarding in relation to the battle in Tal Afar and or what we quite frankly need from the coalition, on top of what's been mentioned by Brigadier General Yahya and the Prime Minister, who stated 3 days ago, he was very clear in his statement. He stated we will not anyone to commit violations against human rights or abuse of power. And if there's any controversy or issue, there was an immediate investigation, whether it's an individual behavior, because we need to make sure that they don't relate to the military institutions. There are individuals who wanna this there are those who would like to make those victories made by the military of Iraq are not as significant. So there is a lot of fabrications and rumors and false news regarding what happened there. What we'd like we would like from the international or global coalition is the continuous support to Iraqi forces to complete its missions of liberating the remaining areas, whether it's Tal Afar or Al-Huwayja or other areas according to the map based on the priorities of the joint military operations. And also to focus of returning security and stabilization of the liberated areas. This also requires additional training and providing the basic services and cameras and surveillance equipment so that we'll be able to stabilize the area. Before we arrived to Washington, a few days ago, before our arrival to Washington, there was what's called the mobile police units that's been established prior to our arrival, and we are gratefully received that support and those vehicles from the coalition countries, and we will distribute it to the liberated areas to secure the citizens. And they might have other duties, and also would like to help the border control units to do their job in a better fashion.
Regarding the preparedness of the Peshmerga to liberate Hawija, Tal Afar, and other areas that I mentioned earlier, that the Peshmerga forces are already, even before preparing for the Mosul operation, we were ready, and we are now all prepared. But the international community, we are first focusing on Mosul, liberating Mosul. Of course, these places should be naturalized, and it will take time and mechanism. I can still say that we have to rebuild even the individuals, the people in these areas were controlled by ISIL, because it's not just about being controlling a place militarily, but they actually a dangerous force that affecting the international, the whole world, not just the Iraq. So that's why eradicating this ideology is very important. We have to have a strategy by the coalition, by international community, to continue with the eradicating of this ideology. The international coalition should continue supporting the Iraqi forces, including Peshmergas.
Idris Ali, Reuters.
You're obviously very proud of the retaking of Mosul, and rightfully so.
Hold on.
Sure.
Okay.
So I was just saying you're obviously proud of retaking Mosul, and rightfully so, but obviously we wouldn't be sitting here if Mosul had not fallen in the first place. And
sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
Not going through. Okay. Now, go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. I'll just give the gist of it. We wouldn't be sitting here today if Mosul had not fallen. And part of the reason, a lot of the blame was because of the Iraqi security forces and their inabilities. There was a lot of melting away when a small group of ISIS fighters sort of came towards Mosul about 3 years ago. Now that Mosul's been retaken, President Trump a few minutes ago said, Mosul's won and we want to make sure that it remains a victory. Can you sort of talk to the Iraqi people and the coalition who are supporting you why they should trust the Iraqi security forces now when just 3 years ago they were incapable of holding territory against a small group of ISIS fighters?
Today, the Iraqi forces are the pride of the nation. Our heroic divisions, they recovered after, and they proved themselves that they recovered after these operations, and they liberated the Iraqi cities that's been occupied by foreign terrorist groups. let's go back. 2014, there were approximately 40% of Iraqi territory was under the control of this terrorist organization. Today, we have a very small percentage of Iraqi territory still under their control. This did not happen haphazardly. We made careful selections of the military leadership. They are professional and extensive training, equipping, and coordination with coalition forces. Many divisions and forces been trained of street fighting and engineering and how to address the landmines, and all those bombings that's been put by the terrorist group. Therefore, that is why we had this victory. The whole world now trusts and have confidence in the Iraqi military institution and all the Iraqi forces. When we're dealing with dense city, an urban neighborhood, Mosul has 1.5 to 2 million citizens in it, whether it's the left or the right banks. These heroes and our forces fought in an urban setting and protected their lives and their properties. It is not an easy equation to fight in an area that is populated by civilians and protect their lives and their properties and the infrastructure, and then also at the same time eliminate the terrorist individuals. No army can achieve what the sons of the Iraqi forces achieved. These are our heroes of liberating those cities when this Takfiri organization that slaughtered and starved and looted and raped everything that is in that city. There's nothing we can I don't have the word to describe what they've done in that city. Today, the coalition forces are fighting side by side to us, looking and realizing that they are working with their counterparts. Mosul operation started in autumn, then it was winter, and then it was spring, and then summer, the last days, and when the temperature is more than 50 centigrade in a stifling heat, and the Iraqi hero, as a fighter, is standing there protecting the citizen and fighting a terrorist. No army can achieve what we achieve, and those belonging to the Iraqi army. Therefore, I salute them, I respect them, and I'm really sure that today can realize the wise leadership of our Prime Minister and the professional military leadership in Iraq. We are all proud of them. What they achieved in street wars, it's going to be something that's going to be taught in war colleges, in Arab world and the world entirely for years to come. Therefore, I'm confident, and the whole world is confident in our capabilities. Without that, we wouldn't be here today in Washington having this press conference talking about our victories and the victory achieved by the different divisions and forces of the Iraqi army. The whole world is supporting us and standing by our side because we are coordinating very well with the coalition forces in arming, equipping, and training our forces to raise their capabilities. And thank God. And that was proven in the army. We had also Iraqi Air Force. We have F-15 jet fighters, and we were precise in the targeting of those places just to eliminate those areas what we know that the terrorists exist. Therefore, we will be more confident and we will continue gaining confidence and trust as we liberate the other areas like Tel Afar and Huwayja and other places. Just to add to answer, to add to the answer, of course, all world armies, they fight in wars. Some battles are different than other battles in its nature, but what counts are the end results. True. Daesh is not fighting Daesh is a global fight. It's not only an Iraqi war. Many countries, the whole globe is suffering from the presence of their cells and units. Nobody is immune to Daesh's existence or ISIL. Therefore, nobody fights face to face on the ground facing those groups other than Iraqi forces today. Therefore, the Iraqi victory is a victory for all who love peace in the world.
Thank you. Could you please give us an update on the number of Daesh fighters that remain in Iraq? Could you also give us an update on the number of Iraqi security forces that have been killed? And how long after Daesh is defeated do you think the coalition should remain in your country?
First of all, in relation to ISIL's fighters, currently the Iraqi intelligence agencies are tracing and trying to find out a little bit more about the remaining members of this unit. Of course, in every battle there are sacrifices. We will conduct a press conference in Baghdad, and we will mention the percentage of areas liberated, the number of Daesh has been killed, and what's being conducted by the different divisions of the army and forces after the liberation of the city of Mosul. So we're going to give more details in that press conference. Regarding the remaining time to liberate the required time to liberate the remaining areas. Currently, we would like to assure everybody they're coming shortly or very soon. We'll start military operations to liberate the remaining Iraqi areas under occupation. And the Iraqi military leadership, after consulting the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces, of course, we will follow his directive if we're going to go towards Hawija or Tel Afar or other areas. And we could start multi-operations towards different areas at the same time. Currently, we're confident that we are capable of having a number of operations simultaneously, and that's what we've done in the Battle of Fallujah, where we arrived at the center of Fallujah, and then they spread towards Al-Jayara and other places, and we liberated the airport of Al-Jayara. We'll leave it to the Iraqi leadership, military leadership, and God willing, I know it's going to be very soon to liberate the remaining occupied territory of Iraq.
Yeah, there's one more. Okay.
Someone.
Okay.
Last question about how long the coalition forces will stay in Iraq after liberating the country from ISIL. That's not in my portfolio. I just talk about military operations. This is left to the Iraqi military leadership with coordination with the global coalition countries.
And your companions. I know you don't have an answer. Maybe you do. You've been asked this question a lot lately, and you're probably tired of hearing it. But there's still the question about the leadership of ISIS. Where do you think they are? What do you think is left? And what do you think their importance is, even if they are still around?
Honestly, the elements and the leadership of ISIL and those influential within the organization, we did a great defeat to them and damage to, especially as a result of the precise intelligence information. We targeted their command and control areas. We targeted some of their influential members, and we killed a large number of their leadership. After the Battle of Mosul and liberating the city of Mosul, that city, as many of those terrorists consider the capital of their illusionary state, after they bombed Al-Hadba and the Nouri Mosque, which is considered the main achievements of these terrorist groups, it was a clear message that they failed, as far as we see it. Therefore, we don't want to reduce reduce the importance of eliminating the remaining numbers of them. But we killed a large number of the leadership, and they collapsed within their structure. And they're fighting among themselves in Al-Hawija and Tel Afar currently. The system they were based on, it started to collapse because we got precise intelligence information, and currently we are pursuing the remaining leaders of this organization to eliminate them also.
In the back.
Currently, you won of reclaiming this city, Mosul city. But after you liberate all the areas, do you have an Iraqi strategy or another strategy in cooperation with the international coalition so to guarantee that they won't return to Mosul or any other province of the country? The only remaining elements currently under the only remaining countries under these organization is in Tel Afar and Nainawa. Currently, we try to secure the borders, and that's what we achieved with the PMF, or the Popular Mobilization Forces. They currently control a large section of the border so that they won't run or cross between the Iraqi or Syrian borders, so they don't escape there or don't return to our country. Therefore, we have a plan. Let me clarify an important point. Yes, we have a partnership with the coalition countries, and you mentioned that cooperation with the coalition. We said about the training, equipping, and coordination, and this has happened with the approval of the Iraqi government. More than 60 countries are helping us. In addition to the United States government helping our Iraqi forces. But the most important part you need to know, who plans for these battles, who leads it, who goes forward in the front lines are the soldiers and sons of Iraq. Our soldiers are on the front lines. Iraqi forces are in the front line. Yes, we have the partnership with the international coalition, and I mentioned specifically where are the points that we cooperate with the international coalition and where we get their support. To add to the answer, currently the coming battle is the battle of information. The intelligence information is the coming phase of this battle. Currently, they try to have attacks against civilians out of desperation, but they don't have any control to any land. Therefore, there is an emphasis on 2 points. First of all, to build the intelligence information and also gain the trust of the citizens, so they will be part of this intelligence gathering. Without the help of the citizens, we won't go forward in any step forward, and that's how we succeeded. To prove it, in Al-Anbar and Fallujah and Ramadi, the information, the accurate information about any movement or any attempt of a sleeping cell comes to us in a timely fashion from the people, from our citizens in Mosul, similar to what happened in Mosul. Today, we have a very solid relation between the security apparatus and the Iraqi or Mosuli citizen. Anybody who follows closely the security affairs of Iraq, especially in the last 2 weeks, you can know that we killed more than 10 suiciders from tips we got from the citizens. So the coming phase is the information phase and the intelligence gathering phase. If my colleague allow me, we have a military victory in our hands today. But what happens after that and how the terrorist organizations react to this, it's not something that's going to happen very quickly or immediately. It takes time. We need to extend bridges of trust with our people, our citizens everywhere. And that's how we gain the current success. There are people who are giving us tips about their leadership, citizens. For example, the city of Mosul, one of the suiciders attempted in Dawrat al-Yarmouk, in Dawrat al-Yarmouk area, he wanted to have an operation to kill a checkpoint, but the young people, the courageous people and young people of Mosul, they attacked him before he came to attack our checkpoints and forces there. Therefore, we need to have a good relationship with the citizens and let them trust us, on top of gathering intelligence with their help. Many of the preemptive operations that we executed as through our intelligence forces, we cannot share it with you here because we need still to follow up and capture the remaining members of these cells.
Thank you very much. Brigadier General Rasool, I want to make sure I understand your answer to Thomas's question. So you believe you have enough Iraqi forces right now to conduct the next offensives, Tal Afar and whatnot, and still hold the other areas like Mosul? And then Brigadier General Sadman, how many Iraqi police do you expect will be needed to hold Mosul? And then one more back for Brigadier General Rasool. How long do you think until the rest of Iraq is completely cleared of ISIS? Do you think it's possible it will happen this year? And then if I could, one for Brigadier General Hikmat. Is the Peshmerga currently conducting any planning for what would happen if the referendum vote chooses for Kurdistan to be independent? Are you involved in any military planning for how that would impact the fight against ISIS going forward? Thank you.
Regarding the military operations, as a member who is present in the planning for the military operations and also a witness to what's going on in the command and control center, we have enough forces to liberate what is remaining from our country under the organization. At the same time, we can launch a number of operations. We can launch a military operation towards the Lafar and another one towards Al-Qa'im, maybe another one towards Al-Huwayja, and vice versa. But this is left to the military decision, military leadership decision. What matters is the victory and thinking thoroughly before planning. To get rid of or eliminate Daesh completely from Iraq. My lady, let me say that we cannot completely eliminate those terrorist groups because we're talking about urban settings or urban cities. Our priority is to save or make sure to avoid civilian casualties. However, what I'm witnessing from my presence there is a great desire of those fighters within our forces to do their job and sacrifice to do their job. And that's how we achieved a lot of victory. Our forces are motivated on the other side, there is a demoralization on the other side among the terrorist organizations, whether we are using air strikes or the operations that we've been doing for a while currently right now in the western desert to apprehend approximately in the desert of 25 to 30 kilometers where we have intelligent information that they might be present there, like in those safety areas where the weaponry storages, for example. We've been killed tens, maybe hundreds of those terrorists. We will continue chasing them, and God willing, we will defeat them militarily completely, and we will have complete control of the Iraqi territories. And there is a very small percentage of the Iraqi territories that is remaining under their hands. After the events of 11/10, the defeat of these terrorist organizations is continuous, facing the determination of our forces. When it comes to the police of Nainawa, currently we have, on top of what I mentioned of the different police stations, we have 16 emergency units, and their duties are securing territory, participating in fight, securing law and order. The Prime Minister gave permission of the sending 21,000 creating 21,000 new jobs in Al-Anbar. Also, in those regions, in Nainawa and Anbar, it created more jobs for young people and young men to secure their areas. And in that way, at the same time, we are securing the internal security and safety of those regions. On top of that, the Ministry of Interior, thankfully with the support of the Prime Minister, we expanded the number of new recruits, and they could be 18,000 new police officers that would be sent to that province. Of course, we've done a feasibility study, and this has not been done haphazardly. We studied the needs of human resources there, and we focus on training and increasing their capacity so that they'll be able to be qualified police forces that are capable of fighting. And even the current police forces available in those provinces are diverse, representing those areas ethnically and sectorially. Therefore, to be honest, the support is continuous and open from the Ministry of Interior to these liberated areas when it comes to providing them with the needed number of forces to secure it and keep them in hand, and also logistically. The government of Iraq thinks that after liberation, there's another phase and a big role played by the police officers, and the security file will be transferred to the police officers.
We're switching to translator real quick for the last question.
Everybody knows that the Iraqis now waiting for elections. The elections and a referendum is a freeway, and it's not something strange to Iraq. Iraq is now a democratic country where the elections are set and followed up. As for the referendum in the Kurdistan region, this is about people in Kurdistan and who will vote and participate in the referendum. The president of the Kurdistan region has decided this referendum, and as for us as the Peshmerga forces, we protect the Kurdistan region, and our jobs is basically about protecting our borders. Thus, we have been working in the recent years fighting terrorist groups, ISIL, was one of the ways that we show that we will be always we keep ourselves far from policies and politics. We just do protecting the country, the region. We are just protecting the entity of this region. That's what we do.
Last one, Thomas, given snap.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for traveling this way and talking to us. General, you were talking about having the trust of the people of Mosul to help you secure the city in the weeks and months that come. What would you tell them after some of these videos have surfaced of small groups of Iraqi soldiers committing atrocities against potential ISIS fighters?
Sir, we are keenly observing and following what is being published in social media outlets about the conduct of a number of our soldiers or those who are wearing uniforms. We are following up this affair very closely, and all the leadership of Iraqi forces and military are keen to know the details of this matter. And if there's any violation of human rights from any force, counterterrorism forces, police, army, they will be held accountable militarily, and we will be really severe. Don't forget that there's those who would like to reduce the joy and the confidence we have from this victory. Maybe these videos are being fabricated, and quite frankly, we're looking into this matter very carefully, and we will hold anybody who committed that act severely. Again, the Minister of Interior, we are responding to we're trying to respond to this matter very swiftly. There is an American outlet that published a torture or picture of torturing an element of ISIL. Immediately, the Prime Minister and the Minister of the Interior, they created an investigative committee, and through the Internal Affairs Directorate, they follow the conduct and the behavior of all the forces, and quite frankly, we looked and suspended the number of those forces shown in those pictures, and there's currently an investigation being conducted, and we will publish the results of this investigation. Let me say that there might be some misbehavior or inappropriate conduct by some of the forces, yes, but the investigation is going on. However, let me emphasize, we are against any violation against any human being, and this is the position of the government. We'd like to be also transparent. There's nothing for us to hide. Yes, the right of having the information and the results of the investigation is open to all the media personnel and also all members of the community.
There are also reports from Iraq that security forces have forcibly relocated families of suspected ISIS fighters, detention camps being called rehabilitation camps. Is there a camp in Mosul where families of ISIS fighters are being relocated and being held against their will? And if so, does this affect any reconciliation efforts in that area? And that's for General Zul or anyone else that'd like to take that.
Regarding the displaced people who are leaving certain areas of battle, there's a Brigadier Mansour that oversees those displaced people and the supervision of areas where the Iraqi forces are present. This topic, we didn't have precise information about what's going on. However, there is no situation or scenario where the Iraqi forces will forcibly get people out of their homes as Iraqi citizens from the residency. However, we try to secure safe pathways for them to avoid the battle area. Yes, we sometimes help them being transported to safer places. And at times when we eliminate those terrorist organizations and we gain the control of those areas, and we make sure there's no booby traps, and we secure the area, we help returnees to come back to their homes. That's what's that's how we behaved, and that's what's been doing in the Eastern Bank. Many of the liberated areas on the 17th in the Tammuz, in Shefa area and other places on the 17th of Yonyo. What we've done is we help those returnees to come back, and that's how we behave systematically as we liberate the city of Mosul.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here today on this unique experience to provide an update from Iraqis and not just me. So thank you very much.
Thank you.